Kia ora, my people. Welcome back. We are going to level up major, man. We're going to level up major. We're going to make a hamburger. Yes, we are. Don't worry, all you meat lovers. This is a vegan hamburger. No animals were harmed in the making of this tutorial. All right, let's hide our chips in our chip box by going to our outliner and clicking on our eyeball. And let's click on that eyeball. Now everything's hidden. Shh. Everything is hidden. Let's go to the front view by pressing 1. And like I said, man, we're going to level up in this lesson. We are going to deal with physics, soft body physics, that is. We're going to deal with a little bit of animation. So the first thing we need to do is add an object into our scene. So let's hit Shift and then A. Let's go to Mesh. And then let's choose this one here, UV sphere, and shaboom. It's a big circle round thing. This is our UV sphere, and let's go straight into edit mode by pressing tab. And then what we want to do is we want to get rid of this bottom half of our sphere to make our hamburger bun. That's what we're going to do. So we need to go into a vertice mode. So let's click on that one, that little icon at the top. It takes us to vertice mode, or you can hit 1 on your keyboard. Now we could just click and drag over our vertices like that, and then press X to delete it. But the problem with that is you're only selecting the fronts. If I rotate my view by holding the middle mouse button and dragging, you can see that the rest aren't even included. So we're all inclusive here. We want to include all these other vertices. So we need to be able to see through this. And the way we do that is by going into wireframe mode. Now there are different ways, as always in Blender, to do things. I'm only going to show you the way that I find quickest, but I'll show you the option as well. So the other option of getting to this mode is by clicking this little icon over here. And when you click it, now you're able to see through the mesh of the objects. But let's go back to solid mode for a sec. But the way I like to do things is shortcuts. So if I press Z on my keyboard, it brings up this little pie menu. And as you can see, right on this side is a wireframe. And if I click that, it brings me back to wireframe mode. And if I want to go back to solid mode, I can do the same thing. Press Z, and then I can go over here and then click solid. And you get really quick at it. Watch. Yeah, code Z. So let me press Z. Let's go to wireframe mode. And let's click and drag over all of these. And let's press X to delete. And I'll ask you, what do you want to delete? And I want to delete all the vertices. And there you go. We've gotten rid of all these things. So let's rotate our view by holding down the middle mouse button and dragging. And you can see there's a big hole in it. Let's go back to solid mode by pressing Z and then hitting solid. And you can see it better. Here, see? And we don't want that. We need this face to be covered because we want to round off our edges later on by beveling, and that makes a nice hamburger patty. So we do the same thing that we did in previous tutorials. We can either, click one vertex and hold shift and click another one, but that'll take forever. So the fastest way to do it is to hold Alt and then click on your bottom, and it will select the whole loop. Now we need to create a face, and that's as easy as pressing F on your keyboard. Look at that, just gave us a brand new face. Now before we start scaling things, let's go back to object mode by pressing tab, and let's scale. Let's go to front view first by pressing 1 so we have a better view of things. Let's scale our UV sphere down a bit. So let's press S and then Z to scale, and let's scale it down. Yeah, that looks more like a hamburger bun, doesn't it? Yeah, around about there. Now let's go back into edit mode by pressing tab, and that loop should still be selected. If it's not, then do the same thing. Hold Alt and then click on it, and we want to bevel it. So give it a bevel by holding Control and B. And remember, you can decide how many cuts you want in there by rolling your mouse wheel. The more you roll it up, the more you get. you roll it down, the less you get. So I don't want to make it too complex because it's important, especially in this style of making objects. You want to try and use as less geometry as possible, especially if you have a really slow computer, because the more geometry you have, it's gonna eat up that power. Yes, it will. So now that we've beveled that edge, let's give it a subsurf. So let's go back to object mode by pressing tab on your keyboard, and let's shade smooth it first. Let's give it a shade smooth by right clicking and then shade smooth. And this is why we need subsurf. You can see it's a bit, look at this, it looks a bit mucky, it's got edges. So the shortcut to put a modifier, to put the subsurf modifier on any object, is hold control and then press 2. And as you can see over here on our modifier panel, it adds one straight away. Cool, so that's half our hamburger bun made. So let's move that up. Let's just move that up over there because it's gonna be in the way. And let's duplicate it. So Shift D to duplicate, and then let's just push left click to confirm it. Now we want to rotate it. Now I could easily go R and then press R to rotate and then move it around like that and eyeball it. But in 3D, it's most of the time it's better to be precise. So let me just right click to cancel that move, and I want to press R, and then I want to press Y because I want it to rotate on the Y axis, and then I want to type in 180, which is 180 degrees, and now it's flipped it perfectly 180 degrees. So let's left click to confirm that move, and let's move that down by clicking on our move tool, and look at that, easy peasy. Let's make our hamburger patties. Yeah, let's do that. So Shift A to add objects. It brings up this little menu, and we want to go to mesh, and this time we want a cylinder, and there's our cylinder. So let's scale it down on the Z, S to scale, Z to scale it down only on the Z axis, and let's make it about about that much. Yeah, I might scale it in actually a little bit. So S to scale, and let's just move in. Yeah, that looks better. I'm on a diet, so I want to make my my vegan patty a little bit smaller. Let's go to tab, press tab to take us into edit mode, and this time let's go to face mode. So let's click on this little icon over here, which takes us into face mode, or you can hit 3 on your keyboard, and let's select this one, that face. Let's rotate to the bottom, hold shift, and let's select that one, that face, and let's bevel those edges. Control B will give us a nice bevel, and up to you how many cuts you want to stick in there. I don't want to put too many. Let's take it down a bit. Yeah, about that much. Let's go back to front view. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad, eh? So let's go back into object mode by pressing tab on our keyboard, and again, it looks kind of chunky, so let's right click on it, hit shade smooth, and yeah, you can see the edge over there, it's not quite round. So let's do another subsurf by hitting control, the shortcut key, control and 2 on your keyboard, and oosh, look at that, good enough to eat. And that's one patty done, but we need 2 patties. So let's move this one up here just a bit. I want to move this up as well, just a bit, and let's duplicate that by holding shift and then pressing D, and let's move it down on the Z axis. So let's press Z and let's move down right there. Awesome. And there you have it, 2 buns, 2 meat patties, and you got to have some greens. So let's make some lettuce. So let's add another object by holding shift and pressing A. Brings up this little menu. Let's go to mesh, and then let's add another cylinder like that, and let's squash that down by pressing S for scale on the Z axis like so. And for now, let's scale it down just a tad, shall we? Yeah, pressing S, that'll scale it. And let's move it out of the way for a bit, eh? And then let's hold shift and our middle mouse button so we can pan across, and let's move it right out of the way because we need to see things. So let's press tab and go into edit mode, and make sure you're on face select mode by clicking that little icon over there. Let's choose this top face, hold shift, rotate to the bottom, and let's choose this bottom face. And now we want to do it inset. So press I and move it in, move your mouse in until, yeah, till about that small. That looks good to me. Make sure both of them, yep, both of them are done. And let's start making some lettuce. So I want to be in edge select mode. So make sure you click on this icon over here for edge select mode, or you can press 2 on your keyboard. And let's click on one of these edges. So let's click on that one. And then I want you to count 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the 4th edge, hold shift and select that 2. And I want you to do that right around the whole cylinder. So let's do it again. 1, don't count that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold shift, click it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold shift, click that edge, select it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold shift, select that edge. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold shift, click that edge. 1, 2, 3, 4. Click that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there you go. With all those edges selected, make sure your move tool is activated. Hold and left click and drag on that arrow and bring them right up. Bring it up like that. Yeah, I know it doesn't look like a lettuce. Not yet anyway. So when it looks like that, we need to click on the edges that are in between those. So let's click on that edge, hold shift, let's click on that edge, rotate around using the middle mouse button, clicking and holding the middle mouse button, hold shift, let's choose that edge, hold shift, choose that edge, hold shift, choose that one, hold shift, choose that one and that one, and let's choose that one as the last one. And with your move tool, click on the Z axis arrow, left click and drag that down. Yeah. There you go, lettuce. I know it doesn't look like a lettuce. Just wait. Press 1 and let's add our modifier to it. So let's go to object mode by pressing tab and let's add a subsurf modifier to it. Our good old friend subsurf modifier. And let's use the shortcut, which is Control and 2. And look at it. See, more lettuce. And let's smooth that out because I don't like these little whatever those are. So let's right click on our object and hit shade smooth. And you can see if I zoom in, it's not quite that smooth. And you can make it even smoother by going over here to your subdivision surface modifier panel and looking at levels, viewport, and clicking it and increasing it. And yeah, just by doing that, it looks a lot smoother, eh? Yeah, very nice. Okay, let's go back to the front view by pressing 1. I want to zoom out a little bit, maybe pan across by holding shift and middle mouse button. And let's move our lettuce and let's put it on top of that. Yeah, right about there. Let's go to 3. Make sure everything's lined up. Yeah, sort of, kind of. All right, now this part, let's go to 1 to go to the front. This is the part I was excited about showing. This is where we are going to use physics, man. Some physics by using soft bodies. I know it sounds confusing and it sounds hard, but what I really want to do is to make some cheese. So let's add some cheese. Let's hold shift and press A to add another object. This little menu will pop up. Let's get a mesh, and this time let's choose a plane. And let's rotate around by clicking on the middle mouse button and holding it. Yep, that looks like a decent sized piece of cheese. I think I want to make it a little bit smaller though. You'll see what I mean shortly. Let's go to edit mode by pressing tab. Now we're in edit mode. Our cheese is just one face, and what we want to do is increase the faces and make a lot more of them, because like I said, we're going to add some physics onto it, and it needs to move like a real piece of cheese. Well, you know, as close as you can. So we need more geometry. So in order to do that, let's right click on our plane and go subdivide. As soon as we do that, a little window over here opens. So let's click on the arrow. Let's open it up. And then this just helps you edit how many cuts that you want on your plane. And I want 10. So let's double click over here where it says number of cuts. And let's click. Let's change it to 10. And then let's click off it. And as you can see, now it's been subdivided 10 times our plane. And that's exactly what we need. Now let's go back to object mode by pressing tab. And we're in object mode. And we need to add some physics. So let's go to the physics panel, which is this little icon over here. And if you hover your cursor over any of these things, it'll tell you exactly what it is. So if you ever get lost, just read, bro, just read. So let's go to physics properties over here and let's click that. And we want our cheese to act like a piece of cloth. So let's click on this button over here. It says cloth, and then this whole intimidating thing pops up, but it's not that intimidating. You only need to do a couple of things. And the first thing that we need to do is change our quality steps to 15. Like that. And you need to scroll down until you find collisions. So let's open that up by clicking on it. Collisions. Make sure object collisions is selected. And let's click on self collisions as well. Now that's all you need to do as far as the cheese. Now we need something for the cheese to collide into, which is going to be this meat patty here. So let's select our meat patty. And again, go to the physics tab, physics properties, and let's click on collision. And that's all you need to do. Now, let's go to the front view. And located at the bottom of this 3D window is what's called the timeline over here. So I'll explain a little bit. This is where we do most of most animating. Let me click and drag and make it bigger, and you can do that by just hovering over where it intersects, and then these little arrows will pop up. You use that to make the window bigger or smaller. So let's open our timeline window, and then let us press. Wait, let's get a better view. Let us press this play button. Ta-da! And to stop it, let's just press pause. And this is how we get our cheese. Our cheese to look like, you know, it's melting over the top of our meat patty. Yeah, that looks good. Now let's move our timeline back by clicking on this blue bar, left clicking and dragging, and bring it back up. And then you can still hold it and drag it out to a bit where you're comfortable with. Because look, it still keeps swinging, but I think I like it around about here. Yeah, that looks good to me. You can do the same thing. So let's click on our plane. Let's right click and let's shade smooth that thing. Shade smooth it. Yeah, I don't think it needs a subsurf. It looks pretty bad to me. Bad meaning good. Looks pretty good to me. Now what we need to do is turn this piece of cheese into an actual object, because if I try and move it, you can't. It does weird. Yeah, see, it does weird stuff. So I want to make sure. Just let me undo that. I want to make sure that our cheese stays like that, and you can't edit it any further. So while we're in object mode, make sure you're in object mode. Hit Control and then A, and it brings up this little window. And I want you to go to Visual Geometry to Mesh. And all that means is it takes the physics away from the object and it just becomes a mesh. That's all you need to do. Now if you move it, it's all good. It's not going to change shape. So let me just undo that by hitting Control and Z. And now let's put our hamburger together. Let's go to front view. And let's select our meat patty. Let's select our cheese. Let's move that up over there. Let's just select this bottom bun, and then let's move that up over there. Whoosh. And then let's go back to front view by pressing 1. Let's bring this down a little bit. It looks crooked. Oh, it's the lettuce, bro. Yeah. There you go. Let's just rotate around. And there you have our hamburger. I'm not quite happy with this lettuce, so let me go back to the front view, and I want to scale it. I want to scale it back down on the Z because it kind of looks, it's overtaking the scene. It's not the style of the show. And it's, yeah, that looks much better. Yeah, it does. Yeah, so do that whenever you're looking at your scenes, man. If something looks out of place, more than likely it is. So fix it, bro. We're nearly there. Let's join our buns together. So click on our top bun and hold shift and click on our bottom bun and press Control J. That'll join it, and then name it straight away. Buns. Let's click our meat patty. Let's click on our other meat patty. Hold shift, and let's name that Control J to join them. And let's name that patties. And then let's click on our lettuce, and we'll just name that lettuce. And cheese, let's do the same thing. Let's just name it cheese. Awesome. Cool. Now that that's all done and we've named all our objects, by looking at our outliner, we can see that these aren't in a collection. So it's as simple as, let's click on our buns. Let's click on that, and that selects all of it, and let's drag it into our food collection. Yeah, cool. Now, I want to show you one more thing. When dealing with big scenes, you know, it's a pain in the bum trying to shift, hold, and shift it, and shift it, and then shift it, just to move your object along with everything else. So let's fix that, eh? We're going to do something called parenting. So what I want you to do is select your lettuce, and then select a patty, and then select your cheese, and then select your buns last. Then I want you to press and hold Control, and then press P. And then this window will pop up, and click on Objects. And what that does is just made everything inside the hamburger a child of the bun. So if I move the bun, everything gets moved now. Now we could have joined it together, but we're going to do some texturing and coloring our objects, and it just makes things too fiddly. So this is probably the best way to do things, is to parent things to an object. So now that we've done that, let's get on. So that pretty much brings us to the end of our lecture. We've done our hamburger, we've done our chips, we've done our table, we've done our chair, we've done our milkshake cup, milkshake in it. So all that's left to do is put our scene together and add some colors and add our camera. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Make sure you go out and practice this stuff. That's the only way you're going to get better, is by practicing. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes habit. Habit makes perfect. We'll see you in the next lecture. Meitagi.